Hi, and welcome to today's broadcast in technology evolutions and disruptions in the facilities and real estate management industry. My name is Sharif Alabt. I'm a Director of Industry Strategy at Oracle Construction and Engineering Global Business Unit. Delighted to have with me today George Haddad, our Global Senior Director for Business Development. How are you doing today, George?
Doing great. Thanks, Sharif, for having me.
Very good. So let me start here by asking you, what's the IWMS, or what's Oracle Foam in particular?
Well, IWMS has always been known, industry-wide, as the integrated workplace management systems, which really, in a nutshell, it is all the processes that are involved in the multiple phases of managing, planning, designing, building, and managing facilities. What FALM is actually IWMS plus, meaning it's all the aspects of IWMS. It includes all the components and capabilities of what an IWMS system is, plus a lot more. When you add the cloud layer, when you add the analytics layer, when you add some of the other advanced technologies that Oracle brings to the table, it actually takes it to a different dimension, another level. But let me cover the basic concepts first. When we talk about the plan phase, because we talked about plan, build, and operate, when we talk about the plan phase is all about selection, identifying which projects and facilities we're going to build or renovate, for that matter. It's all about funding and preparing, making sure that we have proper cash flow, we have the proper funding, we have all the aspects in place before we embark on building a new facility or renovating a facility. That's planning. Then we get into the design and build phase, which is, your typical construction phase that includes the common processes, such as what? Well, it's the RFIs, it's the change orders, it's the contract management. And what we've done with our solution, we have a very rigorous and very detailed solution to even handle the cost management and cost control, schedule management, marrying all of this together and integrating it all together, plus resource management for sure, and bringing all of this under the umbrella of a very powerful, configurable business process automation and workflow within our solution to manage all of these processes along with the documents to achieve complete to achieve the complete construction phase of the FALM. Then we get into the operate phase. Well, operate phase in the FALM is divided into two areas. Maybe we're a little bit different than how IWMS defines it. What we do with the operate phase is we break it into the real estate aspects of managing what you just built or renovated, as well as how do you maintain it. So when we talk about the real estate aspects of how do you manage it, this is about the real estate management. This is about the transaction management. This is about lease administration and lease management and invoicing for lease payments, condition assessments when we get into the maintenance side and the operational side. It's the maintenance management, the corrective, preventive, and condition assessment of the facility, for example. And of course, last but not least, it's the energy and conservation and sustainability of your facility. How do you manage utilities? How you keep track of energy consumption and things that are related to that. That kind of puts together the whole concept of FALM. When you add analytics and cloud on top of it, Oracle takes it to the next dimension, if you would, to the next level.
Well, I understood from you that maintenance management is really one of those functionalities which encompasses the operation management offering in Foam. So can you further, George, elaborate on how does Foam honor the maintenance management requirements?
Absolutely. Traditionally, of course, maintenance management includes the two most common aspects of maintenance: the corrective maintenance, which is the reactive type maintenance, and the preventive maintenance. This is more of the planned type maintenance. The corrective is considered by many the simpler use case where, something breaks, you need to fix it, you submit a request, or you call a help desk, and a work order gets issued, or a ticket gets issued. A technician goes out to the field, takes care of the problem, reports back, and meanwhile, the person who requested that service is constantly being notified, updated about the progress of what they have done. That's the simplest form of corrective maintenance. When you talk about preventive maintenance, this is a little bit different. This is a planned event. This is a scheduled event in most cases where you, based on manufacturer's recommendations, for example, if you're dealing with some of the heavy assets, say an air handling unit or a chiller or a boiler, the manufacturer recommends every 6 months you go and perform the following tasks. You go replace the following parts in order to keep that asset in an ultimate operating condition, the best operating condition. Well, this is great. Now, there are other events that may trigger preventive maintenance as well. It's not all scheduled. In many cases, you may set up the system that says, wait a minute, if the temperature goes above a certain threshold, a certain range, you need to go and inspect the asset and see what's going on. Maybe something is wrong. If the pressure goes above a range that you've set up in the system, it will also trigger a work order for someone to go and inspect the asset before a disaster happens or before the system fails. Those are the two most common types of maintenance, if you would. Another type of maintenance that is gaining a lot of momentum is the predictive maintenance as well, which is part of the overall maintenance management.
Yeah, well, I think you will agree with me, George, if I would say that the bottom-up savings have been consistently ranked as the most compelling challenge for organizations working in the facilities management industry.
I would agree with that.
Perfect. So now, putting that in the context of today's broadcast topic, which is technology evolutions, how Oracle puts that into place? How does Oracle leverage those technologies and disruptions into foam, and particularly in the maintenance management?
Well, very good question. I'm glad you asked me that question because this is where Oracle's technology actually shines, if you would. Listen, today, a lot of disruptive technologies are being evaluated right now in the maintenance management. One of the most promising ones is IoT, Internet of Things. How is this going to affect and produce and deliver better efficiency when we talk about maintenance management? Let me give you some examples. First of all, let's talk about IoT for a sec, Internet of Things. When you look at some of the market research right now, like a report that was published by Juniper Research, I think in the later part of last year, they predict that the connected devices, the internet connected devices, is going to reach 38.5 billion connected devices by 2020. That's an increase from 13.4 billion devices connected as of 2015. So that's an increase of 285% increase in connected devices. Mind you, some of them are residential devices connected in residential implementations, but the bulk of them are in the commercial and institutional type, which applies to what we do here at Oracle. It's just to give you a sense of the growth of IoT. Now, how is it going to benefit the industry? Think about it for a sec. Traditionally we said preventive maintenance is great. It helps you, keep your assets in perfect condition so that they don't break and it costs you more to repair them, etc., etc. This is wonderful and it will continue. However, what if the devices are more intelligent? What if the devices are transmitting their condition on a regular basis and there is a system back there connecting and collecting all of the data, analyzing the data, predicting what may happen based on the massive amount of data that's being collected per asset, and based on that, make decisions and trigger certain events based on intelligent data as a result of that. This comes from Internet of Things and connected devices that are transmitting their condition on a regular basis. And Oracle is in a position to actually deliver some of the best solutions out there in the market, especially when you probably have heard of the Oracle IoT Cloud. And well, the good news is that the FALM solution is already integrated with the IoT Cloud. So by virtue of having these connected devices transmitting their data to the cloud, FALM analyzing the data and then triggering the necessary work orders or maintenance events as a result of that is quite unique. That, on the long run, saves a lot of money.
That's great. Having you said at the beginning, George, that foam spans out across different facets or the entire life cycle, and the capital project is one of those. So how do we see other IoT applications within the capital project?
Absolutely. Again, we look at the world from a complete life cycle. So we don't look at just the maintenance or the facilities management. We like to look at it from the beginning to the end. And this is where connected construction comes in. So think about these same devices I was talking about. The Internet of Things also plays a major role here. Sensors that are placed on construction sites, as an example, that are constantly detecting humidity levels, temperature, weather conditions, and based on the data that is gathered from these from these devices and transmitting them through the Internet of Things, and our solution actually leveraging this data after it's being analyzed, you can make a lot of construction decisions based on that. One simple example. If the humidity level is going above a certain number, and that may not be a good time for concrete to cure at the right time that's planned in your schedule. You may want to do something different. You may want to take a reactive action to prevent that level of humidity from actually changing the course of your project or affecting some of your scheduled activities on the project. And there are many, many other examples where the movement of material, for example, on site, the movement of equipment on site through the Internet of Things can change the course of the construction schedule completely.
That's great. So now with this robustness and the complexity of Oracle Farm solution I'm hearing from you, for organizations which are embarking into this journey of global enterprise level implementations with Farm, how do you give a best practice or a word of advice for them? That's in one hand. On the other hand, are there any mandates or prerequisites for organizations to take on before they get into this journey?
Good question. Listen, a couple of things here. Number one, word of advice is, companies are moving away from point solutions and having to deal with all the integration nightmares. I'm sure everybody listening can share some of this agony of trying to integrate multiple systems. That's number one. So my advice, first advice, when you're looking for a complete IWMS or FALM solution, look for a full integrated solution. Look for a solution that has all the pieces already connected, talking to each other. Whether we're talking about from the early planning phase into the design and construction, the handover process, and then into the operations and maintenance and facilities management. In many cases, you may eliminate that entire headache of that closeout and handover process with some of the COBE file exchanges, et cetera, they may go away if you have a proper, fully integrated solution. That's number one. Number two, cloud. Why am I saying that? Well, you asked about any prerequisites. If the solution is quickly deployed, number one, not only it's going to cost less, it's going to eventually save money over time, but the maintenance, the headache of updating the systems, the headache of integrating it with other systems like your HR system or your ERP system. If it's in the cloud and the rest of the back office systems are also in the cloud, like Oracle's most of the solutions, pretty much all of them now have cloud-based solutions, that eliminates that headache. It makes the process so much easier. Now, the third thing I'm going to talk about briefly is you need to look at a solution that is flexible, configurable, and adapt to your own needs, not the other way around. That's the mistake that a lot of companies fall into, where they, adopt a solution and they end up having to change everything. They have to change the way they do business just to use and adapt their way of business to that solution. That's not what FALM is all about. It's about adapting to the way they do business, which is appreciated by a lot of our customers. And last but not least is your question about, is there, from the deployment, from the implementation side, the good news is you don't have to do it all in once. Okay? You can take a phased approach. You can start small. You can start by maybe doing the capital construction side of the FALM phased, and then once you're ready to move into the next phase of the operations and maintenance and lease management, et cetera, you can easily absorb that over time, because sometimes it's deployed in different departments as well. We have to keep that into consideration.
All right, that's great. Thanks for being with me here today, George, as always.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And for our viewers, thank you very much for watching us today. I hope you found this broadcast fruitful and eye-opening as well. For those of you who want to get to know more about Oracle Farm, then please go to oracle.com, go to Farm. Thank you.